Hello everyone. Very good morning to everyone. Is my voice audible and my screen is I think I have shared my screen as well. Is my screen visible? Can I get a quick confirmation please? Okay. Hi Samshay. Good morning. Very good morning to everyone. Hi Edureka guest. Hey Sachin. Screen is visible and audible. Okay, perfect. Thanks Sachin. Thank you EG and Dinanath. Okay. Let's give 2 minutes of time today, just in case. I see good number of folks, by the way, but let's just wait for 2 minutes. Hey, Night, Suganya, good morning, very good morning, guys. I hope you guys are doing well. Okay, that's one thing we'll discuss today. Fine, and that's fine. Okay, we'll discuss this as well. That's fine. Okay, hey, good morning, Bharat. Sure, Night. So, can we talk about on free trial cloud account? So, I hope you guys have got that downloaded this particular PDF, and I hope you guys are able to create your first GCP free trial account. For this, I will be using that for all the demos. Only one or two demos I'll need the organization structure, which doesn't comes along with the free tier account. So that's where I'll show you on uh, my portal. I have another account as well, but I mean, that is not that really important. I don't need to spend because that again comes with some cost. So uh, if in case you are interested, you can do that, but that's not the agenda for this particular course, right? So we can work on the free tier account itself. Please confirm if my pings are reaching out. Yes, Edureka, your pings are reaching out to me, but I'm not able to see your name. It's showing as Edureka guest. Okay, so we already waited for 2 minutes for any late joiners. So let's get started. So first of all, on the first bubble, as you guys requested, I uploaded some of the PDFs again. I am for the next one and rough note from yesterday, and I uploaded one MP4 file, which is a video file, um, which we'll be using today. Okay, and I also uploaded the notes for today's session. Okay, I paid, but it did not create my free trial account. Okay, now just follow me today and let's see whether it is created or not. Okay, or else you can, uh, follow the I think this particular demo as well, which is being given by Edureka. In case you are not guys are not able to create, then let's check it at the end of this today's class. I'll be trying to help you out, or else you can create a support ticket and Edureka, somebody from Edureka will be able to help you. Anything is fine. Okay, so um, let's not waste more time and let's get right into it. So first of all, as we had seen yesterday, the introduction, right? So today's agenda will be navigating on the GCP console. I hope every one of you now got free tier account. So we'll see how to log in that, right? We'll see the documentation links that I shared with you guys yesterday, right? And we'll start with the actual topics also. We'll try to cover IAM also. We'll at least try to start today, and let's see how much we can cover, because I have uh, I have a lag of like 1 or 2 sessions, right, which I want to cover, so that you don't have to spend another weekend. Maybe one more class will be able will have to spend, but I'm just trying to cover the gap. Okay, I hope that is okay with you guys. So without of further ado, we'll start. Okay, so navigation to GCP console. Okay, so once you go to, let me go to the console. Okay, so let me close this. So I'll be using incognito window. What you need to do is, either you can do GCP console, you can just Google that, and it will give you console.cloud.google.com, or simply you can go to console.cloud.google.com, and it will get you to the signing page, right? That's where you enter your Gmail address with which you created an account, right? And just give the password, and it will log you in into the GCP console. Okay, and the first page that you would see is this particular welcome page, right? So let's talk about this page in a while. And again, this is what you will see here. Okay, this might come or doesn't come, that's fine, but you don't need to activate that. I'm just dismissing that. Okay, so now from yesterday, I as I said, right, I uploaded one PDF, and it has some documentations also. We'll see this in a while. While before that, I just will navigate you guys into this all these options. Okay, so this is the first page, as I said, right? The first thing which you are able to see is you are working on one of the project name. It is being shown over here. That's the same project name over here as well. Okay, this is the project switch, right? From here you can switch between the projects. Since you can go to recent, you can go to start, and you can go to start is like favorites mark. You can star mark this, add a star to your project, so that it will be easily accessible. Under all, it will show all the all the projects. Okay, so if you see here, I have created another project just for a sample. Yesterday I was working on this, and then I just created one. So you can select a project, and all the things that you will do will be inside this project now. Okay, if you have this particular project selected. So then you see some numbers, project number, and we'll come to this as well. Okay, and the project ID, which are nothing but some internal purpose ID and number for this particular project name. This is a human readable name, and this is project ID. Okay, and it also has a project number. Will, as I said, I'll come to that in a while. So then you have some shortcuts. Create a VM, run a BigQuery query in a BigQuery, and you create a GKE cluster. You create a storage bucket. You have some quick access links for different services like IAM, permission errors, billing accounts, right? Then some API related libraries, compute engine. All these things are quick access. You can also click on view all products, and it will get you to another page from where you can jump on to different services, right? The same thing is also present on this particular menu on the left hamburger sign, right? So if you expand that, you will see similar things over here as well. Okay, So I can scroll, and you can also click on this view all products. It will show you all those products over here. Okay. One more thing, what you can do is you can pin and unpin these options. You see a unpin option, right? So these are the pinned options that I have. Okay. And okay, one second. So let's say, let's go back to the dashboard. If I click on more products, it will show all the products that Google Cloud provides you. Okay. So, and they have categorized, or they have grouped them together as, like, for compute we have multiple other options: compute engine, Kubernetes engine, VMware. For serverless, there are multiple other services like Cloud Run, Cloud Function, App Engine. For storage, we have file storage, cloud storage, other data transfer options. They have some other way of categorization, but this can be categorized as per your need as well, because if you see Cloud SQL, Spanner, Memory Store, Firestore, these are again a storage and databases option. So they have I mean, the Google Cloud has this is being again getting updated every now and then. So don't go by this. Whatever you feel that you want to use, let's say you are working more on cloud storage, you can just pin this. Okay, now I have already pinned it, that's why I'm getting an unpin option. So similarly, let's say big table, if I pin this, this will come right on top. Okay, here, big table, right? It appeared over here. So whatever, if I don't want, I can simply unpin, and those will go from here, right? Like this. Okay. Then from recent also you can go, all these options are already there. Okay, this is a simple navigation that you can understand. Then we have two more options which we did not discuss about on the welcome page, right? The dashboard, right? So let me go to the dashboard, and on the dashboard you will see a nicely cleaned page. Okay, which is again customizable. You can click on the customize, and you can add the some, I mean, right now this is a fresh account, you don't see any API requests. Some charts also, you can add some charts also, like some CPU utilization or any other monitoring charts also you can add over here itself. Okay, from the dashboard itself. Okay, uh, on the left side of this particular dashboard, you can see the project info, right? This is this is what I was talking about. The project name, this is particularly like human readable name. Okay, this you can change any number of time, anytime during the project's life cycle you can change this. Okay, this is this is particularly a project in which you want to work. Okay, so let's say if you change this particular dashboard will change, right? All the resources, their information, their charts will again will show up based on the new project, right? Another two things: project number and project ID. Project ID is again a kind of an identifier that is created for this particular project. You can have this project name at as any name. Okay, it is just for your understanding, whereas a GCP from the internal for the internal purpose will be using project ID to understand what project. No two projects will have the same ID, right? This is a unique ID that you have. You can also select this, but this has to be unique. And once you select that project ID, that will stay as it is. You cannot change this particular project ID later on. So that's a one-time selection that you can do, or you can tell Google to create a default some unique name on your behalf, and it will, as a first project, if you see here, resonant sunset and some a random number it attached with, right? So Google Cloud has automatically given the project ID for me. And the third one is the project number. Okay, this has no use from your perspective, right? This is internal to Google. They use the project number for their internal tracking. Okay. Then bottom, you see some resources, quick links. If I click on the compute engine, it will take me to the compute engine page, right? So compute engine is again one of the service of Google Cloud. We'll see that in a while. Once you go to this particular any particular service, you have to enable that in order to use it. By enabling, you telling Google Cloud that I'm going to use this particular service, and it will monitor or it will give you, then it will redirect you to a compute engine page. Okay, this is the API enablement page. So API enablement is nothing but just, you can imagine this like a switch. Okay, so you're telling Google Cloud, I want to use a compute engine resources, and that's where you just turn on the switch by clicking this particular. We'll see that as well. Okay, but for now, if I go to the dashboard, similarly I have other options also, and there are many other also. So if you want, these are not the only options, right? Because we already seen there are tons of tools that we can use, or tools or services of Google Cloud we can use. Either you can go from here, or you can simply click on this particular search bar and put compute engine example. And you can click on that, and it will again take you to the same compute engine. You can put Kubernetes, and it will show you. There are a couple of other options also. It will also show you Kubernetes documentation. Whatever you search, it will show you the products as well as their documentation links over here. Okay, so you can directly jump from here itself. Then some getting started things also. So if you want to understand something, let's say you want to deploy a sample hello world application, you can simply click on that, and it will give you some quick start documentation on here. You can also open in that in a new window, and that you can follow that particular documentation. So these are some of the quick links you can use from here. Again, similarly for VM quick start, how to create a cloud function, they have a lot of tutorials, so you can explore from here. In the middle, you see some charts, right? One second. Okay, so in the middle, you can see some charts. Right now, we don't have any resources, so that's why nothing will show up over here. And on the right side, you can see some cloud status dashboard. So this will give you some recent news around the Google Cloud status. If there are any issues, global issues, if you see here, right, Cloud Functions Generation 2, customers experience and the issues began with this, right? So there are multiple customers who has been, might have created some tickets or raised in issues with the Google Cloud. So they just, if there is any service downtime or anything, any major issues, that will show up over here. So on the monitoring, this is again one of the logging and monitoring is one of the service. Error monitoring is one of the service. So there are a couple of options they have given. This is all customizable, okay? And down bottom, you can see news and documentations as well. Okay. So jumping back to the PDF that we were talking about, right? So this is the getting started. I already showed you here from here, right? And you can also, okay, we'll talk about this in a while. So a couple of options from here also. Okay, you can go to the project settings, privacy, cloud partners. Cloud partners will show you different partner informations, right? And some certifications also, which certifications you can choose. And if you go here, you can see their customers and their partners with okay who are already using the Google Cloud. Okay, there are some case studies and some other documentation also. Will come to that. But before that, you see a developer cheat sheet. If I click on that, okay, it is one second. So these are on the developer cheat sheets you see here, right? So there are, if I scroll down, it will load more and more tools, right? So there are tons of tools that Google Cloud has, and this cheat sheet will talk about, uh, you know, in on in few words, it will tell you what is this service is all about, right? So it is a NFS server. What is it? It's a file store, AlloyDB, Bigtable, Cloud Function, App Engine, Compute Engine, right? So it's basically, and then if you click on that, it will take you to the documentation for that particular service, right? Then let me open this here. Then you have, oh man, one second. Okay, so then Google also has a documentation on the comparison. Yesterday, I gave you this particular link from where you can compare the different products, but you can also use Google's own documentation on the comparison between AWS, GCP, and Azure. And you can, if you are coming from a different background and you want to know, which is the equivalent service on GCP, you can do that from here. Then the next one is the quick start. Sure, in the getting started page, you have multiple options over here. So you can explore all these things. In quick start, you will get to see the documentation on different use cases, right? So like create a Firestore database by using a mobile and web client library. So you can just click on that and it will give you a good documentation on that particular use case. So if you want to create a data flow pipeline using Go, you can go for that. If you are using Java, you can go for this, right? So you can just simply search it over here, your use case, and you can also have options to filter from here. So that's again a quick start links that you can use. Developer use cases. So there are a couple of developer use cases also. If you want to deploy a simple cloud function, this is a category. This is this particular, let's say this is for the cloud function. So if you want to deploy a cloud function as a service, you can simply click on that and it will, you can just follow this particular documentation. It will also give you some sample codes which you can simply put in your maybe a Python file or a Java file, and using that you can create the cloud function. If you want to host static media or static content, you can simply use this particular documentation. So there are a couple of, there are multiple places from where you can try out different use cases, right? So I just mentioned it, and this documentation is constantly getting updated by Google Cloud. So you won't find the same page every now and then, and this is my old documentation. So uh, so maybe you will see some differences here and there. That's okay. So you just need to navigate accordingly, right? Then some of the best practices for the organizations to follow given by Google Cloud, right? So these are some of the steps that they want you to follow, some architecture framework and all. So yeah, this is again some of the other links. Now, one thing you might be interested is code samples. This is again very good link for code samples. Okay, let it load. Yeah. So if you see here, how to add a Firestore document, how to add a column, timestamp column, right? Um, and you can see here, right, different languages. So if you want to add a label to a bucket, right, so you can simply go to that particular documentation. You can select which language in which you want the code, and you get the code directly here itself. If you want Python, you can just click on the Python. You can also go click on this and it will take you to the GitHub page of Google Cloud, right? So they have a lot of samples, right? So it will directly take you to that particular Python file on the GitHub page of Google Cloud GitHub repository. Okay. So yeah, rest of the things you can always go and check it out, right? Let's not waste much time on this, and let's get right back into the navigations that we were talking about, right? So another one, you see two more tabs over here, right? Activity. Activity is all about what are the different types of activities that are performed in this particular project. Okay, so let's say I created a project, I set some I enabled some services, or I added some IAM policies, I removed some user, I added some user, whatever is there. I created a VM, I created a storage bucket. All the services that I've been I might have been doing, those will all log the entry over here. Okay, this is one of the kind of a place where you can see what are the changes done to this particular project. Similarly, recommendation is one of the place where it runs. Right now you won't be able to see anything, but as I said, one of the point I was discussing yesterday, that Google has a recommendation engine. This is the place where it will show you some recommendations. Maybe like there are some access permissions you have given to a certain user, right? And you don't want I mean that particular user is not using it anymore. So this, but Google Cloud will monitor these excessive permissions that this user might not be requiring. Do you want to revoke those, something like that? Another one will be like unused VMs, right? If you're having a VM, you're not using it for a long time, based on the patterns and the workloads that it is checking, Google Cloud will recommend you either you can stop or delete that particular VM, and save some bucks for you, right? So that kind of recommendations will come over here. But that resource has to be alive, up and running for 24 hours, so that Google Cloud can get some insights about that, understand the patterns, understand the CPU utilization or any other stuff, some metrics, and based on that it will recommend you. Okay. On the top, we already discussed about the hamburger menu, right? Then if you click on this Google Cloud, it will take you to the welcome page. This is the project explorer, right? From here, you can switch between the projects. If you see here a gearbox, right? So if I click on that, it will take me to the manage resource page, right? And you see here no organization. So no organization means there is no organization node. We'll come to this. What is what is the organization node that I'm talking about? Okay. And there are two projects directly. So this is the project explorer, you can say, or manage resources, or resource manager. It is basically called as resource manager. You can create a project from here. You can create a folder. If you click on the create, see, basically for creating a folder you need a organization node. Okay, folder structure, project structure, all these things I am going to cover in a while. Okay, so we'll come to this page again at that time. Just understand that from here you can navigate. You can delete the project also from there. Sorry. Okay. Then this is again we already talked about. From here also you can jump onto the documentation of any service. Let's say you want to create a cloud function. you can create, just search for the function and it will show you cloud function. Anything related to cloud functions will appear over here. On the right side, activate Cloud Shell. Okay, Cloud Shell is another, a command line, a built-in command line tool. When you click on that, it will appear over here on the bottom of the page, and there you can fire some commands to do the same thing. We are going to cover that also in a while. Then in the notification, this will show you the activity tabs in short. Okay, the same, this activity tab that I was talking about, right? It's the same thing over here, it will come. And yeah, support, if you have any issues, you want to create a case, you want to create a support case with Google Cloud, you can just click on that and get a support. Select the different options based on your need and based on your support plan. So for the free tier account, it will come with the basic support, and with basic support, you don't have phone support or I think we have a chat support. So you can directly chat with the customer care executive, and they will be able to help you if you have any issues, right? And yeah, some of the other links also, some simple ones, and on the very right top you can simply use this for account switching. If you have, this is very similar to you use Gmail or anything, right? You can switch between the projects, you can switch between the accounts. If you have multiple accounts logged in, you can add an account and switch between the accounts. Okay, any questions until here? Sorry. So what is the difference between Bigtable and BigQuery? We'll just park this for big data module. We'll cover that. Okay. Once we enable any resource, are we going to charge if we enable any resource? Are we going to charge if we left the enable status? No. This is just like a switch, Naga. You are just opting to use that particular service. It does not, see, you are not creating any resource. What I told was, you are telling Google Cloud that I'm going to use this particular service. For enabling a service, you don't get billed. Okay, you don't need to pay anything for enabling a service. Once you enable a service, you will be redirected to that particular page on which you can create a resource. Once you create a resource, then only your billing will start on that particular resource. I hope that is clear. Then could you please share these links? I might have missed them. It is there in your notes. Okay, so just go to your LMS, go to your course, and this particular PDF is attached. I showed yesterday itself. Okay, Navneeta. So let me close this now, and let's start with the organization structure. Let me go to the, okay, this part is complete. This also we have completed. So let's talk about the organization structure today. Okay, so we have a lot of topics to cover. Okay, so we'll just focus and will be good. So before we understand the organization structure in GCP, we let me write four important blocks, building blocks for any organization structure in GCP. So how does an organization structure will look like in any GCP console, right? So first of all, on the top you will have organization node. Under that you have folder node. Under that you have projects, and under that you have different resources. Okay, so these are the four building blocks for this particular structure. Now with a free tier GCP account, you will not see this, you will not have this. So you will see free tier account. This is okay. Okay. So the most important thing is the project, because for resources you need project, not the other two. So for free tier account, you don't get no organization node. You don't get any this. And since organization node is not there, you cannot create a folder. But these both are not that essential. These are not mandatory. You have projects. You can create multiple projects also, and you can work with different projects, and we'll see this. Okay. So now let's first talk about resource. So what is a resource? Resource can be any service that I just showed you on the console, right? Do I need that? No, I don't. Okay. So if you see here on the left hamburger menu, the services that I was talking about, right? So these are nothing but your resources. So these are the services. Let's say a simple VM, right? Everybody understand a Linux VM or a Windows VM, right? This machine, my laptop itself is nothing but a VM for you, right? It's a machine on which we are working. Similarly, Linux box, you might have worked in on the Linux box in multiple projects, right? So for similar one, you have a option of compute engine. In compute engine, you can go to VM instances. VM instances. Just a minute. I'm not enabling it now because I wanted to show you for some other reason. I'll enable it. Once I enable it, I will be redirected to a compute engine page, or let me enable, not an issue. It will take a while for enabling this particular service. So this is not going to start any billing for you. Okay. And if you see here, it's enabling that particular service, compute.googleapis.com on this particular project. So meanwhile, let me go to this. The resource is nothing but a particular, what I can say, an item. It can be a storage. It can be a file. It can be Cloud SQL. It can be VM. It can be GKE cluster. It can be a Dataproc cluster. Any different services that GCP has, any of that instance that you create, instance means it's a runnable instance that you create of that particular service. Okay, that is called as a resource. Okay, so resource is a generic term. Okay, like, is it enabled? Okay, so now I automatically landed up after that. After I enabled that particular service, I it automatically took me to this particular page, right? This is all we are talking about, one of the service. Okay, there are several, more than 150 to 200 services that Google Cloud has. This is one of the service called as Google Cloud Compute Engine, and is also called as VM instances, right? So VM, virtual machines. So once I click on this and I create a Linux VM, I can create multiple hundreds, thousands of VMs over here, and that particular one VM will be called as resource, right? So in order to create any resource, you need a project. Unless you have a project, you cannot create any resources, because your resources will be under project only. So what is the project? Project is a logical grouping of resources. Okay, it's a mandatory entity. It's a mandatory entity because unless you have a project here, you have a project selected over here, you can't create any VM, or I mean, whatever resources. I sure give you some examples, right? You cannot create any resource unless you have a project, right? So project is a must have entity. It's a mandatory entity. your once you create a resource, that will get charged, right? That will get billed for your usage. So those resource level charges will be calculated at project level. So your billing will happen at a project level. So all the resources within this particular project, be it a VM or a storage or a data proc or a cloud function or data flow job, whatever you create, those will get those respective charges will be accumulating at this particular project level, and you will be charged at that particular project level. You can also get charged at the organization level in case you have an organization node, right? And maximum with free tier account you can create somewhere around 25 or something. You can see that here. Once you go here, if you click on that particular project explorer, project switch box, and you click on new project, it will show you that quota, right? You have some quota of 23 projects remaining in your quota. So I can create 23 more projects, and 23 more projects are way enough to, for any projects, not for I mean for any organization it might be less, but in organization node you have more quota, as well as you can also request to increase that quota. I'll show you today uh, how to increase that. Okay, so this is all about the project node. Then you have a folder node, which is optional. Okay, why do we need folders? If we have, let's just assume that we have so many resources underlying and they are being grouped logically into so many other different projects. And just understand that, just imagine that there are so many projects you want to manage. How will you manage them? Okay, so if you want a logical grouping of projects, logical group of projects, that's where the folder comes in. So you have multiple, let's say you have multiple teams. Let me parallelly, I think I have a diagram. Yeah, let me get that diagram for you, and then we understand this better. Okay, so if you see here, storage, VM, App Engine, BigQuery, ML. You can have any number of resources, and these resources will be in a particular GCP project. So let's say if you see this particular tree structure, you have created multiple VMs and some storage under this particular GCP project. The project name is web app. Similarly, for mobile app, they have created another project, and in the mobile app they have used another service, App Engine, or you also have some VMs, let's say here. Okay, anything can be there, any number of resources can be there, but they are logically grouped into these projects. Now these are all mobile applications and web applications. These are all the developers stuff, right? So you can have a folder called as dev team, or you can have a folder called as developers, right? Or dev tools, anything like that. And you can have them, these projects can be clubbed or logically grouped together into something called as folder. Similarly, there is another team, data team, which is working on analytics and machine learning, right? So their task is little bit different. They have their different own their different projects, so um, they are grouped into another folder, right? So I hope this is simply now clear. And now if you see here, this is also a folder, this is also a folder. So what does this mean is you can have subfolders, can create subfolders. So if you go from top to bottom, at the organization level, under that you have multiple folders, marketing and product development. Under product development there are two types of teams, so that's why they created subfolders. One is for dev team, another one is for data team, and under respective folders they have multiple other projects also, right? So this is all about the folders, and then um, multiple folders are can be grouped together into something called as organization. This is the topmost or the root node. Okay, logical group of folders. Again, folders and organization, since these are uh, optional, not part of resource URI. Okay, I'll come to what is resource URI. Users URI is basically when you create a particular VM, let's say, okay, so that will have some address, like this particular web page. This is the address, right? So it is telling me that go to I mean, on the internet it is telling that go to this particular one, go to this particular compute instances, and for this particular project ID show me this particular web page, right? So this is nothing but a URL. We call it as URL. Similarly, for instance, for any resource we call it as a resource URI, right? So resource URI contains project ID, resource ID, uh, I mean the instance ID or resource ID, whatever. Then it also contains the project ID, and it also sometimes contains the location, but it does not contain any folder ID or organization, because those are it's I mean, the resource URI, we will not have any organization ID or folder ID, because those are optional ones. I hope you got my point. Okay, but for having the folder, you need org node to create folders. I think this is the point I wanted to type in. Okay, so again, one more thing, optional. This is optional. Now, projects attribute. Let's talk about the projects attribute. We already discussed in a I mean, in a brief. So there are three types of attributes: project number, project ID, and project name. Okay. Sorry. Project number is a numeric value. I show you, right? I showed you. This is for internal purpose. Project ID is alphanumeric value. You can select only once during project creation, and this is user defined, can change anytime, any number of time and anytime. Okay, so this is for the internal purpose. This is also for the internal purpose. You have the resource URI, which I was talking about earlier, right? So you will see a project ID, part of resource URI. So whenever you will see a resource URI, in that you will see a project ID. Okay, so now as I said, right, you don't see a organization structure, but let me show you real quick. Let me try to log in with another account. So in case you are interested, this is the part I'm talking about. So if you go to, right, so that's okay. Let me switch here. Yeah. So now this is another account, right? This is my personal account on which actually I have created my own website, and it's a that's called as domain, right? So we can go to, you must have heard GoDaddy.com, or you guys might be having your own domain, right? So that has some costing. Okay, that is not really required. I'm just showing out of my interest, and in case you are interested. So if you see here, if you import that particular domain. Okay, domain means whatever your website xyz.com, right? So that will, or you might have seen if you are already working on a GCP or other cloud, you might be seeing some organization like this here. So this is my website, learnwithharshal.in, right? So if you say, so I mean, the it's not today's agenda to discuss how I got this particular domain in the GCP, but once you have this particular organization node, under that you can select. Let me show you. So if I go to this manage resources now, the resource manager, right? So if you see here, I have another free tier account activated on the same ID. That's why it is showing no organization node. Okay, and under that also some free projects. But here, if you see here, this is what I was talking about. This is the organization node. Under that, I can create a folder, right? So let's say folder one, just for simplicity, and I create that. Sorry. If you see here, that folder came in, and now if I create a project, I can simply select that particular folder. I think it is taking some time. So basically, you can see here, I can select a parent organization node, or I can select a folder. Let me just try to search. Yeah. So I can select a folder and then I can create any projects, sample project. If you see here, right, automatically a project ID, Omega, Clarity, whatever, or again it is changed and some random value has been assigned by Google Cloud. Okay. If now going back to our rough page, this is the project ID that I'm talking about. You can select it only once, or if you don't select it, Google Cloud will assign automatically. Or you can click on that and you can select maybe like sample project 1 2 3 or whatever you want. But that should be globally unique. That's why this may not be available, right? So if I keep it like that, I can, you know, and this name, particular project name, I can change anytime. So that is okay. And let's create one. So it is creating a sample project. Simply you can do it in your free tier account also, doesn't matter. Just that it will not create under any folder, right? So your all resources will be appearing like this, the bottom part of my this one. All these resources will like be available like this. But if you see here in my organization level structure, I have a node, then I have a folder node, and under that I have a project. Similarly, I can manage multiple projects. Maybe I can have a dev team, testing team, and production go live folder like that, and then I can put some those particular respective projects under different folders, right? So that way also I can manage depending upon your organization's need. You can manage these. Okay, it's not a hard rule that you have a dev, test, and prod, or you have data team, developer team, and product development, marketing, right? So that's what this particular diagram talks about, right? So you can have this kind of structure as well. There is no such hard rule or anything like that. Okay, I hope this is clear. Any questions until here? Else we'll start with billing. Just post your questions while I write the heading. Okay. Okay. Could you please share the links? I might have missed them. Navneeta. Okay. So Okay, one second. So you need to log into your Edureka, your classroom. For me, it's my batches. Uh, since I'm an instructor, it will show under my batches. You will see your batch, something like this, in your classroom, and this page will look exactly same to you. Go to the course content and go to the first bubble. You will see all these PDFs. Just download all of them, and all these links that we were discussing right earlier. This is somewhere here. Useful links. This is the PDF. Okay. Then what is the next question? Organization can be a URL as in your case or a normal text. How is it different in both these cases? No. So organization node will not be part of your URI. Okay. So if you create any resource, when we will create a resource, no, I'll show you how it will look like. So it will show like this slash projects. It will start from projects and then your project ID, then it will have location, then maybe it will have US East 1, then it will show instance, and then it will have instance ID, something like this. Okay, so that will be a unique resource identifier for your resource. Okay, it does not have organization structure. Project ID which you're using, assigning DNS or to data. No, no, no. DNS is a different service altogether. Don't confuse DNS and project IDs and everything. Dinanath. EG has another question. Organizer node is like publisher node for a cluster. Publisher node. No, organization is just like a grouping of multiple either standalone. You can have standalone project also like this, okay, without organization node also, and you can have multiple projects like this particular project and this particular project. One of them is under folder, one of them is directly under the organization. So it's like a grouping, nothing else. It's just like a logical grouping which can help you to manage your particular multiple projects. If you have, this is, we are talking about only 2 3 projects in the hands-on or the demos, right? But in real world you might have 10 15 or 25 or 50 projects in your how depending upon how big is your organization, right? So depending upon that you need to manage them somehow, right? That's a simple uh, you know uh, understanding behind organization and folders. What is the limit of creating resource in a project? There is no limit of creating resource, but there is a quota that we are going to see during the billing. I mean, how many resources we can create? You can create based on your need, right? There are unlimited resources that you can create as long as you are ready to pay the bills to Google Cloud, right? So that's why this cloud computing is all about. You get unlimited resources, you unlimited storage, depending upon the data that you have, or depending upon the use cases or the compute power that you need, right? You can create those many resources. Just that based on each resource, you will get charged, right? Another one, Swati. Swati says, Learn with Herschel is a web application which you hosted on GCP. No, 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 no. It's my website. So just like, let's say you are working in xyz.com company, right? So your organization node will be xyz. It's a organization's domain. Domain means, let's say amazon.com, right? Amazon.com is nothing but a domain. Amazon.com is not just a website. Amazon has its own websites called as Amazon India, Amazon US, Amazon Europe, right? Those are different websites. but Amazon.com itself as an organization, it's a company, right? So that's called as domain. So learnwithharshal.in is my organization or domain, not a single application. I can have multiple web applications within this particular domain. Is there a permission on org? No. Project resources from top to bottom. We can talk about permissions and IAMs and no roles in IAM part. Yes, we can have it at the org level, project level. Yeah. Do we have any practical demo for deploying static website on GCP? Yes, Dinanath, I'll show you. So let me switch back to the free tier account. Okay, so now let's talk about billing, or maybe we can, that's fine. So let's go back to the billing part. Okay, so why do you think billing is important? First of all, you need to understand what is billing, right? So in any case, in general case also, right, to have your financial managements in place, right? Let's say you earn something from your different income source incomes, right? So you need to have some kind of tap on all your incomes and your outgoing out expenses and all those things, right? So that's where in any general case also the billing is very important. Similarly, since you have a Google Cloud account or any other in general case, right? So you are paying someone for renting because you are taking some resources on the rent, right? Let's say you are creating a VM, so you are paying them for that particular VM, right? So what up what if you have some faulty script? Let's say an example, you created a shell script and you wrote some logic to create a VM from that script. And uh, let's say you wanted to create 5 VMs and accidentally in place of 5 you just kept 50, right? So it will create those many VMs, 50 VMs. So there are multiple ways, there are multiple features within billing area, billing service of GCP. You can manage your billing in different ways, right? So there are quotas, there are reports, there are alerts. So based on different threshold values, you can get alerted that okay, this billing is going beyond this particular value for this particular month, so that you can have some taps on it. So basically, if you are working as an architect, you might be asked to analyze the spendings on a project, right? Or you might be asked to create some reports which you need to show to the clients or stakeholders, right? So that's where this billing is really important, to help you understand the spending of your projects, or if you're somewhere something goofing somewhere, or some misconfigurations or something is happening, so that will reflect on your billing. That's why the billing is very important, right? So billing has multiple roles. Okay, so why we need that, let me write those down. So you don't want unforeseen bills, avoid. You want to avoid the unforeseen bills, right? Avoid accidental creation of resources. Okay, that way also the billing is very important. You need to at least you will come to know that accidentally those many resources has been created, right? So and also you can have some tabs, we'll talk about that as well. You want to manage pricing or budget of your project or company, I would say, right? And then you also want to manage quotas. This is what I was talking about, right? For the project. So all these things are can be done when you have a proper billing in place. So how does the billing works is, um, now that you know this particular structure, right? sorry. You have a org, you have a folder, then you have a project, and then you have resources, right? So the billing happens at this particular resource level. So let's say you create a VM that will get charged some X dollars, uh, X dollars. Then you create, this is VM1. Let's say you create VM2, it will get charged Y dollars. Then you create a bucket. We'll see what is this bucket and all. It will charge Z dollars, right? So all these are accumulated X plus Y plus Z at a project level. Okay. So X plus Y plus Z will be your dollars at this project level. You might get some discounts. Okay. As we said, right? Yesterday we have discussed different types of discounts, commitment, sustained use, right? So those type of things will come as a discount, and you will get some discounted value as a dot dollar, right? That will be accumulated not at the folder level but at the org level. You can have multiple projects, right? So project P1 is a dollars, project P2 will have b dollars, right? And at org level it will be like a plus b dollars, right? So this is how your billing will look like in a simple way. So it's like a bottom to top bottom to top approach. It will be accumulating, going on accumulating. You cannot have billing at the folder level. Okay, folder is just a logical grouping. So your billing will be accumulated at the organization level in your normal you know, when you if you have been working on GCP, you must be able to see in, if in your company I'm talking about, you will be able to see some organization node. Okay, right now in free tier account, our billing will be at the project level, and for multiple projects it will be automatically accumulated uh, at your account level, right? So what happens is, if you don't have an organization, let's say you have a, now that we know how to create a, yesterday I was telling you, right, we can create a free tier account, and that needed a credit card or debit card, right? Why do we need that if they are refunding, right? Basically, why do they need is, they need some payment profile, and then with this payment profile they will create some billing account. So this is that billing account. Okay, it will I'll show you on the console also. And this billing account will be linked with a project. Now this billing account can be linked with another project also. Okay, this is project 2, this is project 1. Similarly, that's what I told you, right? You can have multiple different accumulation at the project level, and then at org level you can have a accumulated value. Similarly, this billing account you can link with multiple projects, but at any given point of time, any particular project will only be linked to this one billing account. You cannot have one project linked with multiple billing account. You may have multiple billing accounts. You can have B1, you can have B2, right? So this will be another credit card. This will be another credit card. You may have multiple billing accounts. Again, it is not recommended, but you can have multiple billing accounts in the same organization. But same or one billing account can be linked to multiple projects, but not the vice versa, right? It can be P1, P2, and P3, and this can be P4, P5, and P6, right? Projects. But P1 cannot be here. P1 cannot be here. That P1 is getting billed at B1 also, and P1 is getting billed at B2 also. No, this is not possible. Okay. So project to billing is one to one. Billing to project is one to many. Okay, I hope this point is clear. Let me see if I have a diagram. I think I had. Correct. I'll show you with the diagram also. But I think this point is clear now. So if you see here, I have resources, then I have projects in which those resources are there. And for a project, I can have a billing account. And this billing account can be linked with multiple projects, right? If you see here, project 3 is also billing. But at any point of time, project 1 can only have one billing account. It cannot be linked with another. This is not possible. Okay. Okay. So, and then billing account will have a payment profile. So this payment profile is nothing but your credit card details. That's why they need your credit card details just to create that particular profile so that they can create a billing account. Now let's go back to this particular console and let me show you the, if you go to the hamburger menu, you see something called as billing. Okay, if you don't see that, just search it over in this search box. I have pinned it, that's why it is showing right on top there. Just give me 5 minutes. We'll talk about this billing and then we'll continue on the billing rest of the part after the break. Okay. So if you go to the billing, the first thing you will see here is my billing and my status is active on this particular billing account, right? You can have multiple billing accounts over here. Again, that is not a good practice because it will create a lot of chaos, right? But I mean, with this is my free tier account. Yeah. So I have a billing account over here. So I can click on that. Let me, since this is the free tier account, it might not show any, details. So let me use my old batch. Sorry. Actually, the fun fact is I had created multiple VMs on one of my other account and I forgot to delete them, right? So I had a lot of billing on, I have a lot of charges being incurred on that. If you see here, right, last 30 spent is 4,000 Indian rupees. So if I click on this, that's why I came to this one so that it will at least show some charts and some. I now close this billing account. Okay. So yeah, so this is the first page that you will see. Okay, it will show me this particular current month and last month some charges which are incurred, and it will also show me some forecasted value for the coming month also. Okay, based on my use pattern or anything like that, it will automatically show some forecasted value. You can see it here also. Okay, but this again subject to change based on your usage, right? It's just the estimated value. On the right side, you would be able to see some of the information about the billing account, the organizations to which it belongs to, and some free credits. So I don't have any free credits on that. Do I have another account logged in? So we can just compare, quickly. Yes, Swati, Learn with Harshal is my paid account. Yes. If I do anything mistakes over there, I'll have to pay for that. Okay. So this is our email address, and if you see here, I activated the free trial, so I see 23,970 Indian rupees, and 87 days remaining for my free trial account, but I don't see any statistics over here because we don't have anything here yet, right? But on my old account, you can see some of the details over here. This is the the first page where you will end up. Okay, then we'll talk about some of the important ones out of these. Okay, after the break. But before that, I just wanted to talk about the different rules. Or let me just see. Or let's take a break and then we'll continue if that is fine with you. Let's take a break of 7 minutes. Okay, and then I will continue with rest of the billing part and then rest of the topics that you have for today. Okay, see you guys then. I'll see you in 7 minutes. Okay, I'm back. Okay, I hope everyone is back as well. Let me text the pending questions. Like your learn with Herschel or it's can I have a domain in free tier account? Yes, Swati, you can import your domain. If you have a domain already, you can import that as a org node in your free tier account as well. For that, you don't need to be a paid account. But once you import that org node, that will be another org node, right? So that will have its separate billing, and for that you don't have any free credits. You cannot use this $300 credit on that particular domain org, right? So anything you do within that particular org, under that org, in any of the project under that org, that will directly get charged, right? That's why I don't suggest you guys to work, because everything that you can do in that paid account or the domain org node kind of uh, project structure, you can very well do all the stuff in this particular free tier account also. That's why as a first fresher or like a startup, you can always work on the free tier account. That's why the free tier account is there. Nahid says, can we create VM in free trial account? Yes, of course. You can do 99% everything the same way in a free tier account. 99% of the things will work as it is the same way. Just that the folder I created, right? Which is not really important. It's only important when you come to a organization level, right? This folder structure and all those things, this again this does not Google does not bill you for this, right? So this is just a management part. It's not really that important, right? So these things are not possible with free tier account because you don't have a org node. I hope that is clear. Eduraka guest, could a resource like VPC or data store be shared by two projects with two different billing accounts? Okay, good question, but you got confused here, that the resource at any point of time, resource cannot belong to multiple projects. Okay, so if you see here, this particular resource cannot belong to multiple projects because it's a part of URI, right? It You can have, you if you are talking about multiple accounts, let's say if I create a VM, if I create a VM in my free tier account, and I want that VM to be worked upon by me and by you, or you guys, right? So I can give access to my VM to your Gmail addresses, and you also would be able to see that project and that particular VM, and you will also be able to work in within that VM Linux box, right? That I can do, but that's an account, right? That's account tagging that we're doing. I cannot have that VM, to reside in your project, right? so, so don't confuse the project here that we are able to see with your account, with your account. Okay, we can have access to a same resource, same VM, same data store, or same any other resource to multiple accounts, but not to the multiple projects. Okay, so that's why you cannot have that. Billing also to multiple billing accounts, because project will be linked only to a single billing account. Your billing account and my billing account will be different. I hope that point is clear. uh, just confirm once if you guys are clear on my answer to your questions at least. Okay, so billing factors, let's quickly talk about what are the billing factors. So what I mean by this is, let's say you have different types of resource, right? So for different type of resource, the billing will work differently. Let's say for VM, So the RAM that you select, CPU that you select, GPU that you select, or disk storage that you select, right? Depending upon that, your billing will be different. Again, VM, if you are creating any resource, VM or any cluster, in which region, that you create, you create a resource. Depending upon that, let's say in Asia, select any region, let's say in Mumbai or in Delhi or in Chennai, or in Europe you create in London, let's say in US you create in a central region, right? So depending upon what region that you select, your resource pricing will be little bit different also. Okay. Then type of storage, right? So I'm talking about cloud storage. We'll come to these services. If you don't know these services, don't worry. In respective modules, we'll be covering all these points. I'm just telling you how the billing works, right? So normal bucket, nearline storage option, cold line. These are some of the options. We'll be seeing this depending upon this particular type of cloud storage that you select for a cloud storage bucket. This billing will be also different. Then size of the data. Of course, this is very obvious. The more the data you store, your billing will be, of course, it will be more as compared to the other people, right? Type of traffic. So is the traffic going out of Google Cloud platform, or it is incoming traffic, right? So egress and ingress, right? Egress is outbound traffic. Outbound traffic is charged. Ingress traffic is never charged. It's not billed. Okay, then the traffic size. The what I mean by that is size of the packets, right? The more data you send out, the more charges you'll have to pay. So when I say out, you may have uh, an infrastructure, like you have some of the in case of migration, right? Not all the resources you will migrate immediately into the Google Cloud, right? You will have certain 50% of your resources in on-premise infrastructure, and some of them will be already migrated into GCP, and they will have to, you have some connectivity between on-premise and GCP, right? That's where it might happen that you need to send the data from GCP to on-premise or vice versa, right? So that is what I'm talking about when I talk about the traffic. Number of invocations on of uh, APIs, right? So there are different APIs that you can use to programmatically connect to the Google Cloud Console, right? So depending upon how many, and this is in millions, okay? So this is charged in millions, so not per call, but yeah, this is also get charged. So these are some of the factors which cost you billing depending upon different types of resources. Okay. Now, since you don't know what is VM or what is cloud storage or anything, uh, just understand there are different types of metrics or factors which for respective resource the billing will happen that way. Another one is IAM roles for the billing. So we have billing account viewer. Let me just write and then I'll explain. Billing account administrator, then we have billing account creator, and billing account user. Okay. So these are different roles. Roles means they, based on a role, they will have different types of permissions. So let's say if I make let's say, let me take Dinanath. So if I make Dinanath as billing account viewer on my project, right? So he will be able to see all the spendings that I am doing on my project. Okay. With his Gmail ID, he will log into my console, right? And he will be selecting my project. right? He will be able to see that particular project, and he will be able to see all the spendings on my project. He will not be able to change anything. He'll be just account viewer, right? So he'll be just able to see the details of my billing and the spendings. If I make him billing account administrator, right? So it's like a owner role for a billing account. Okay, so with that, he will be able to manage the payment instructions, or he'll be able to configure the billing exports. We'll be seeing some of them in a while. So let me go to this particular one. If you see here, reports, budgets, alerts, exports, all these things, he will be able to set up these things if Dinanath is a billing account administrator, right? Then another one is billing account creator, right? So billing account creator is nothing but billing account creator. Billing account creator is like if you want to create multiple billing accounts, right? So depending upon, let's say you have 10 different projects, and for 5 projects you want another billing account, for another 5 projects you want some other billing account. So billing account creator is the role that you have to give to a particular person, and that person will be able to create uh, another billing account and linking between the billing accounts and the projects, right? So that can be done using billing account creator role. Okay, and then lastly, billing account user, right? So okay, so sorry, one mistake. Billing account creator can only create the billing account, he cannot link it. So billing account user can link the projects with the billing accounts. Okay, so let me quickly write what I'm talking about. Access the spendings. In short, I'll write admin or owner of the billing account, but cannot create new billing account. Okay, can create new billing account but cannot link. Okay, and this guy can link projects to billing accounts. Simple. Okay, so I hope this point is clear. So let's check the console. Let's go to billing from here. Just scroll down, just check for the billing, or you search it from here and you will end up over here. You will see something like this. Okay, everything will be blank for you, nothing will show up, but you can go to reports and all. Similarly, let me go to the reports. And this tab will give you idea about some monthly spending and all, right, and forecasting of the next coming month. On the right side you have some presets. You can select all projects, all services, right? Or you can select an invoice month. So and also you have some quick ones. So last month, let me select last month. It will appear some graph over here. It's a line chart. I am just changing it to bar chart. Okay. Okay, so if you see here, day wise, it is showing me the spendings, right? And it is showing me some blue, then some orange. What is the meaning of that? It's a project level. So at the project level, this is my spending. At another project, this is my another spending. And for this project, I don't have any spendings. And accumulately, if you see here, this is my this one. So the total cost and the discounts and the promotions, everything you can see on the right side. Also, if you don't want to see the discounts or promotional offer, promotions or anything else, you can see the billing like this, right? So it will be the total cost of this particular last month. But when it comes to the discount for the sustained use, let's say, right, sustained use, I told you, right, for more than 25 days, if you keep the VM running, automatically that will have lesser cost on you. So you can see, right, so this is how it will show up. Then you also have a group by option. You can group by the service. So now if you check this part has changed. So for a given, now I'm just grouping by, not by the project but by the service, right? So for all the projects that I have, I my compute engine was the most spending that I had done. On cloud storage, I had done this much. On BigQuery, rest of them, which I enabled, these services I had enabled, but I had not created any resources. That's why the spending of the costing is zero on that, right? Similarly, there are multiple options. You can either just go by particular project, and it will only show for that particular project, and group by the service, right? Simple. Then you can also select different services. If I want to see BigQuery, Bigtable, Cloud Build, whatever the services that I have enabled, and I want to see only the charges for that particular one, I can do that from here using these filters. Okay. So that way, even I can save this view, and I can share this view with others, and I can also give any of that particular role that we discussed, IAM roles, and they will be able to access this particular page, right? Then cost table, cost breakdown, these are not really important. This will tell you the costing per resource, per region, all these things. I mean, it is just for, to understand what is the costing per, it's just like a cost table, right? Pricing. Then budget and alert. This is very important. Okay, so you cannot, okay, this is my closed account, so I can't do that. Let me open my current account. Okay, go to budgets. You can click on create budget. So creating a budget is basically like a, we'll see that. One second. Sample budget. Then you can have monthly range, yearly, quarterly. You can have a monthly budget for all the projects. Right now we have this particular project and all the services within that, right? So 1937, all the services I want to have considered in this particular budget. I am also considering the discounts that I am getting. With along with that discount, I am just setting this budget, and then I can have multiple options like specified amount. Let's say I put this as 10,000. Okay, so if there is 10,000 spending is done on my given project, okay, then what happens is, on 50% usage of 10,000, that is 5,000 rupees, 5,000 Indian rupees, trigger something, right? Trigger on my actuals. 90% trigger some another notification, and on the 100% reach also trigger another one, right? And what do I mean by trigger? I want to get notified by sending the emails to billing admins and users, depending upon whom you are making the administrator and users, right? So those people will get notified on their email addresses. And you can also select some other options, like you can put all that budget information or that spending information, whatever the alerts this particular budget will create, that you can send it on the PubSub. If you don't know what is PubSub, we'll see that in big data analytics model. But just understand that this is another a messaging queue on which you can post a message, and you can analyze it more in case you want, and then just say finish. So it will create a one budget, and it will start. It's like a a tab on your account that you can create. Then billing export. So now, say once you start creating resources, automatically Google Cloud will start billing for that, right? Isn't it? So once you start creating any resources, be it VM, clusters or GKEs or Cloud Run, Dataproc, anything. So automatically the billing will start. But since you have a free tier account, it will be charged from that particular credits, right? But if you want to analyze what was the cost uh, incurred on that particular resource, you can have these billing exports. Okay, so you can enable this. By default it is disabled. If you can see here, there are multiple types of exports that you have, and you can just simply click on edit settings. Sorry, you can select that particular project, and you can select a data set. What is data set? It is basically using another service called as BigQuery. BigQuery is one more service in which, if you guys have a SQL background, you must be knowing about databases and tables, right? So dataset is nothing but like a database. I just need to create one dataset ID, sample billing export, and I'm just telling that okay, create in US region and create a dataset. So it will create a dataset in BigQuery, and within that it will create a table. Okay, it's like a just like a your SQL table, and within that it will push all these billing information that for a particular resource, this is the costing for this particular, for every now and then it will start pushing those pendings. And then on top of that table you can simply query, you can write a SQL queries, and at any given point of time you can analyze that, right? So that way it will give you a better idea that what are my daily spendings, what are my monthly spending. You can group by, and you can I mean, in the reports you have seen some other filters, right? Similarly, using the SQL query you can write other filters also. You can write some other filters using the queries. You can do group by, whatever you want. You can play around with the SQL query. Similarly, another report, detailed report, will give you more detailed information about a resource level, whereas standard will give you more at the service or the project level or the account level information. So depending upon what type of export you want, you can just enable that. Then you have committed discounts. You can create a commitment with Google, and sorry, you can purchase this. And this is again not really required for us with the free tier account, but when you have at an organization level you can purchase, and it will, you just need to tell what type of resources, how many resources, what type of machine types or disk options that you want to have, and based on that you can either go for the period of 1 year or 3 years. And with that it will create a purchase order with Google Cloud, and then they will reach back to you, and then you can have a discussion with them, and accordingly they will give you some discounts, and accordingly then those many resources will be booked for you, right, at that discounted rate. So I hope that particular commitment committed discount is also clear. Apart from that, payment methods and rest of the things, are not that really important. You can explore when you have some time, but these are the major things I wanted to cover. Other than that, in we have something called as quota. Let me. It's under IM, but I wanted to, because it is very much related to the billing. That's why I'm just going to show you that, or maybe I'll show you on my other account, because there. Uh, eh, so see here. Okay, let's see here itself. If, okay, so since see it's not a see if you are I'm not upgraded this to paid account, so I'm not able to change the quota. Okay, but let me just check it on this one. Okay, so on my another account, right? So if you see here, I have used The limit is, you see, limit of networks. So this is again another service, VPC networks. So I can create 5 VPCs by default, maximum 5 VPCs by default quota. If that is not enough for me, I can just select this and click on edit quota. I can say I want 10, limit as 10, and just I can say contact sales, right? So I can submit this particular request. So that will go to Google Cloud again, and then they will see whether you are really using the limits that they have put, right? So if you see here, I have 5 and I have used only 20% of it, because I am currently using only one VPC in my project, this particular project. So my usage is 20% of what they are actually giving. So they might reject my new quota limit of 10, right? Because I am not even exhausting that particular given limit. So there are these quotas. There are all the different services. You can see 9,294 types of quota, or the different metrics that we have, which you can request to increase in case those are exhausted. But that is also enough for understanding the entire GCP. All our demos will be within this quota limits only, so don't worry about that as well. But I just wanted to let you guys know about all these. It will also tell you on the top side, right, how many total quotas that you can play around with. And out of these many are on low usage, means we have not even used these type of these many quotas, that we have not, maybe 0% usage, right? Some of them only are, if I am around 4 out of these 5 here, it might show up here that these are nearing reaching near that particular given limit of, or the threshold value, right? So this is all about the billing and all the aspects of billing. Any questions on this? Billing was the main part of the question. Is, thank you. um, can we use the same credit card for multiple email IDs? Yes, you can use same credit card for creating multiple free tier accounts also, or multiple billing accounts. But all your billings will come, of course, on the same credit card. um, yes, billing was the main. Okay, that is covered. What is the GPU? It's a graphic processing unit, right? In your laptop you use CPU and GPU. You have GPU also, right? Which is basically used for more graphics intense, like gaming and all, right? So graphic intense computation, you need GPU. So that's a GPU. Can you please explain again egress, ingress, any use case? We'll cover that in networking. So I understand that you guys have a lot of questions, but since it's an introduction, I don't want to digress a lot on any particular topic, because this egress, ingress, or big table, big query, all these topics will be covered in their respective modules, and that time you will for sure understand, because we'll be going very deep what is egress, ingress. But just one liner, egress is nothing but, if I think I show talked about a use case, right? When you are migrating your on-premise into cloud, let's say, right? So you will have your half of the infrastructure at certain point of time in your migration journey, that 10% of the resources are migrated, 10% of your jobs are migrated into Google Cloud, 90% of your resources are still on on-prem, right? So that time you may have to have some connectivity. If you want to migrate your data that you have stored on your on-premise, you want to move that data onto Google Cloud, right? So you need to have some kind of connectivity. And when you say some connectivity, you will send that data onto um, the Google Cloud. Similarly, the process data from Google Cloud, it may happen that you want to send back to on-premise, right? So maybe for some validation or some other purposes, right? So that is what I'm talking about, the ingress, egress traffic that I'm talking about. So when you invoke something on on-prem from a VM, let's say you have a virtual machine, a Linux box, which is there on your um, Google Cloud, and that has a website hosted on it, and that website is storing the data on-premise. Since your database is still not migrated, you are still using the database from the on-prem. Okay, so that time it might happen that you are sending the data back to on-prem, right, which is outside for Google Cloud. That is nothing but outside is nothing but egress. For that, Google Cloud will charge you. That is what I'm talking about, egress and ingress. Any data that you bring in inside the Google Cloud, that they will not charge for bringing the data. Okay, but once you get the data into Google Cloud, you need to store it. For that storage, you will get you will be charged. I hope that is clear, Dinanath. Any other questions, guys? Or else we'll move to the next topic. What is the next topic that we have is SDK installation. Okay. So for SDK installation, I have this particular video. But before that, let me talk about ways in which we can connect to the GCP. There are three ways in which we can connect to GCP. When I say GCP, Google Cloud, uh, one of them is the console. That is nothing but GUI. Another one is gCloud SDK or Cloud Shell, which is nothing but command line interface, right? Then another one is API. This is programmatic way. Okay. These are the three ways in which you can connect. So let's say I'll show you one of some of them as well. I mean, we'll cover all of them. Okay. Just be with me. So console we already seen. We have not created any resource up until now, but this is the console. Let me close my old account. Anyways, now we don't need that anymore. And you remember we had enabled this VM switch. I would call it as a switch because I just enabled that particular service. You remember we clicked on enable, and if you go to this particular VM, or you can just type VM and it will give you that option, virtual machines. You need to go to VM instances in compute engine, right? So if you go to this, you will be asked to enable that service for the very first time. Once you go to that, once you enable that, it will you will and land over here, right? And from here, if you see here, if I click on create instance, I'm not going to create it right away, but I can give some sample VM. Okay, sample VM. I can select in which region I want this particular VM to be. Okay, and on the right side it will show me some estimates. I can select some machine types. Be with me, don't get confused. This is just for an introduction. This is going to get covered in depth during compute services, right? So don't worry. I'm just telling you how to create a VM, right? Then you can give some access scopes. You can also have, let's say, if you are creating a website on top of this particular Linux VM, you can have allow HTTP or HTTPS traffic depending upon what type of traffic you want. Then one more thing is boot option, right? So I'm attaching 10 GB of storage persistent disk to this VM, and I want a Linux VM of type Debian. You can simply change the operating system. You can have multiple CentOS, Debian, Fedora, whatever is feasible for you, Ubuntu or Windows Server, right? SQL Server. So you can select any of that as well. Okay. And then once I click on create, it will create a VM for me. Simple. Again, Samsher, Persistent disk. What is persistent disk? It's like a hard disk you attach to your laptop, right? But just hold on with your questions, because we are going to cover what is VM, what is persistent disk, what is all the variants and everything in compute service module. Okay, I'm just telling you how to use the console, right? So I'm just creating a sample resource on from the console, right? Similarly, this is one way you can create any resource. You can go to BigQuery, right? Again, it will ask me to enable the API if it is not enabled on my project, right? And then within BigQuery, okay, so inside the BigQuery, now this is the BigQuery screen. This is my project ID. Inside this, I have, okay, so this is the data set. You remember just now for the billing export, we created a data set. Data set is nothing like nothing but a database, right? So you can create a database from here, create data set, and under that data set you can create tables, just like any other, like Oracle table or Cloud SQL table. But this is not a Oracle, or this is not an RDBMS. So but the conceptually I'm telling you, you can create databases. Under that databases you can create multiple tables. All these things you can do in BigQuery, right? So this way, this is the way from GUI or the console that you create your resources under a project, right? We were talking about the resources, right? For which we get build, right? So those you can do using GUI, using the console. That is called as console. Another way is the Cloud SDK or the command line interface. Just like in Windows, you have a CMD, right? I can say CMD, and it will open up this one, right? So you can very well create files, you can create folders in your laptop, right? And you can do it from your Windows Explorer, this one, right? From my computer, most of you guys create a folder, let's say, right? You create a folder. So the same way, same way you can do from your command line, right? CMD. Similarly, for Google Console also, you have a console and you have a command line interface also. And that interface has two ways to connect. One is the Cloud Shell, and another one is called as Cloud SDK. So we'll talk about Cloud SDK now. So Cloud SDK. What is Cloud SDK is? It's basically a bundle of multiple commands. Okay, so let me write core commands, beta commands. We'll talk about this now in a while. Commands. Then what we have is GSUtil, BigQ, kubectl. Also we have kubectl. Then we have CBT. And then we have emulators like Python, Java, some etc. I would say multiple others. Then we have Docker. We have yeah, and there are multiple other components also. Okay, some other components I don't have on top of my head. Okay, let me write other components. So what is Cloud SDK is? It's a bundle of multiple commands. Okay, these are all are types of commands. Okay, under GSUtil you have multiple other, other options. GSUtil commands, BQ commands, kubectl commands, some emulators. Emulators are nothing but like some virtual environment for running Python code, Java code, right? So let's say you want to run a Python code, right? So you need a Python environment, right? So that is nothing but your emulator. That is also bundled inside one single tool. One single tool bundles all these types of commands. That bundle is nothing but Cloud SDK. Okay, it's a bundle of below components. Yeah. Every different commands have their own way of for creating or working on a Google Cloud Storage. You have GSUtil commands for BigQuery tables, databases, data sets that I just showed you on the console. For that, you can use BQ command, right? Similarly, for creating VMs, you can use gcloud command. So gcloud basically comes under this part, and gcloud is the most widely used commands under the Cloud SDK. And under Cloud SDK, you have different types of commands, and those are categorized as core commands, beta commands, and generally available commands. So what is this is basically, or maybe I can write it as alpha commands. So what is this is all about is the commands when Google Cloud try to these are developed by Google Cloud for you, right? To maybe to use in a shell script or some programmatic way, you can write some scripting around that, and you can automate everything instead of instead of you going to console logging every time, right? You can use these commands directly to create the VMs. Or let's say you have a command ready, you can simply change the different parameters and you can create multiple VMs in a short span of time, right? So that way you don't have to go to console, click on here and there, select multiple options, right? So it's a simpler way. Developers might understand what I'm talking about, right? So that way it is very beneficial to use the Cloud SDK. So alpha commands is the commands which are Google Cloud is trying to introduce, or they are working upon that, right? And those are not really recommended for the production use yet, right? Then once the some level of testing is done, those are categorized as the beta commands, and beta commands are generally being still tested by Google Cloud, but Google Cloud also opens that for people to use. However, beta commands are again not recommended for production, because beta commands are again in certain type of testing is still going on the beta commands. When everything seems to be working fine for a particular command, then that command is promoted for a general availability. So it is made available to everyone's use in any projects. You can use even in your production environment. You should always go for the general available commands, because they will support you in case anything is broken. Google Cloud will have a support for you on GA commands, right? Similarly, for different kubectl for Kubernetes, CBT is for Bigtable. Emulators I already talked about. These are some libraries for running your code. Then Docker is for the Docker and containers. You can use Docker commands. So all these commands are bundled together into a single tool, just like your any software, right? So that is nothing but your Cloud SDK. So let me give you a link, okay, to everyone. You can go to this particular link and just scroll down, and you will find an installation link for, depending upon what type of OS that you have, Mac OS, Red Hat, or Linux or Windows. You have an option of this one, right? Download the installer, and then just like any other software, you install it. But just to make your life easier again, go to this course content. I have one mp4 file here, this one, install gcloud CLI, right? So just follow this mp4 file, just open this video and do side by side. Not now, after the session you can do, okay? And that way you will be able to install this particular Cloud SDK bundle on your laptop. Once it is uh, installed, you will be able to see on your desktop a short icon, just like a command line like this, okay? On your desktop you will see this particular shortcut. You can click that, and uh, it will open just like a command line argument, command line interface. Okay, let me increase the font a little bit. Okay, so if you see here, it is welcoming you to the Google Cloud CLI. You can use gcloud-h. Gcloud-h is for help. It will show you all the list of commands. Okay, gcloud. Okay, so it is saying use this particular command and then use further -h. Okay, so let me show you what I mean by that is. But before that, let me show you the components. Components is one of the command, and then I'm telling list. So list all the components. So what is the components that we just talked about, right? These are so many components. Not all of them will be installed by default. See, if you see Cloud Run, Cloud PubSub emulator, all the emulators will not be installed, but those are bundled with that Cloud SDK that you will install, right? The using that MP4 file, using that video. If you go to the bottom right, if you see here, beta commands, those are installed. I can use the beta commands. I can use the core libraries. I can use gsutil. I can use bq. Those are installed. Now, in case you want to use, let's say kubectl is not installed, but you want to install it, the simple command is uh, gcloud components install and kubectl. Let's try. So it will install that. Cannot perform because it don't have permissions to this. Okay, I think I need to run it as an administrator. No problem. We'll run it as an administrator. gcloud components install kubectl. Let's try now. So this is not really important. I mean, this installation part. Just I'm showing you, but we are more interested in different other commands, right? So first, whenever you log in to this particular Cloud SDK, you need to initialize it. So what is that is basically you are creating a environment for you, some configuration environment. Sorry, just say yes, and it is installing. Okay, so let it run side by side. Meanwhile, I wanted to show you the command. So the first time you just need to run the gcloud init command. I might have ran it yesterday on this particular account. Okay, so that's why you are able to see this particular account is already logged in, right? So in your case, do I have it open? Yeah, I kept it open just to show you what I ran yesterday. So if you see here, gcloud init. So you will also see something like this once you install, and it will say that there is no configuration. So it is trying to create a default configuration with the name default, and it will ask you need to log in, because you need to have some just like on console you are logging with your ID, right? With your free tier account. Similarly, you need to log in. So just say yes, and it will generate this particular automatically some URL, and it will also open your Chrome browser or whatever browser you are using. It will ask you to log in with that account. You just put your username and password, and automatically just allow whatever allow options that you get. Just click on allow on that web page, and it will automatically come back to this particular screen. You will this message will automatically pop up that you logged in with that particular account. I logged in with my free tier email address, right? And then it will tell you for which project. Just like this, just relate this with this one, right? When you log in with this particular account here, after that you need to switch to this particular project, right? You need to select a project. So I'm selecting this particular project here. So I'm telling Google Cloud that I'm going to work under this particular project. Similarly, you're telling from here, you're telling that, okay, I want to pick this particular project. So you don't need to type this, just say one, because this is for the first option. Just select one, and your configuration for this project will be set, and it will automatically this particular things will just, you can just read through that, and it will set that particular account. So you can see here. Now if you want to see how many accounts I am logged in with, right? So just now, like in UI, if I tell you, right, I'm logged in with three different accounts, right? Similarly, you can have multiple logins also. And how do you switch between the accounts? You just need to fire this particular command. uh, Let me just do Control X, Control Z. Okay, so the command is gcloud auth list. So all the authorized logins will be shown. Right now I'm already just logged in with this particular account, right? So that's why it is telling me that this is the active one. The star is the active one. If I have logged in with multiple accounts, it will show me multiple accounts over here. If you want to log in with multiple other accounts, you can just run gcloud init, and then you can say, create a configuration, right? You can see here, right? Gcloud init. Since my initialization yesterday was done, today it is asking me that, okay, you have logged in with this ID. Do you want to create another configuration? I can say yes. I can say two, and it will again ask me for another login, right? So you can also create multiple configurations for the same account also. Okay. So let's say you have dev project. I have another project. Let's say CLI SDK project, right? SDK CLI project. So I can create another configuration, and programmatically simply I can switch between the accounts. I can switch between the configurations. I can do all those stuff. So better I fire so some commands, and that way it will be clear to you. So one of them is gcloud config list. It will show me the configurations that I have created so far. So if you see here, there is only one configuration, and that is active on this particular session. So that is the default one which we created yesterday, right? I mean, I created this, I just showed you, right? So uh, gcloud config list is to list the configurations. If I want to create a new one, right? So I can do gcloud config configurations list. First of all, to check what all configurations I do have. I have only one of them, which is default. If I want to create a new one, I can say configurations create, and then I can say dev. Let's say for dev, any name you can give, and let me create a dev with name dev. Created an empty configuration. It automatically created an empty configuration with my same account. Let's see the list now. Let's display the list of configuration. Now if you see here, everything is empty. There no account is set, no project is set, no region or zone is set, nothing is set. Okay, so you can set these details by uh, so what I have done is to make this life easier. I will also give my GitHub. One second. Okay, I just posted a link to everyone on the chat. This is my GitHub repo. So you can use this for the demos, upcoming demos. Those are the so many demos that we'll be covering. Uh, but if you see here, the Cloud Shell demo, right? I have a shell script over here. I can simply, so what is the need of all these commands? If we have a console, why do you need a cloud SDK, right? That's a basic question you might be getting, right? So that's why I created this simple shell script in which I am just firing some set of commands, and I can write some shell script. I can create a VM. Okay, so for creating a VM, this is the command, just sample command. You remember we just created a VM from the console, right? From the console we have created a VM. Similarly, you can do it from the shell script also. Similarly, you can do from the cloud SDK also. I mean, cloud SDK is nothing but where you can fire single commands, but you can simply put all the commands in one single shell script and you can run that shell script also. So that is what I have done over here. Okay, so if you want to give me a want me to give a try, I can give that. Okay, so before we run that particular shell script, now I'm not going to fire individual commands over here. I have put that into one single shell script and we are going to run that shell script and see what it is doing, right? Yes, Nahid, just give me 5 more minutes and we'll break for 5 minutes. Okay, so now you understand what is cloud SDK. The similar thing, which is this is cloud SDK is installed on your laptop, which is an external one, right? Similarly, you have an inbuilt CLI. Inbuilt CLI is what I'm talking about is the Cloud Shell. It is called as Cloud Shell. You see option over here, activate Cloud Shell. If I click on that, see it will provision something. It is provisioning me a machine, Cloud Shell machine. What is this machine is? It's just a simple Linux box for which you don't get charged. Okay, they are not charging you any single penny for. Okay, so I just clicked on this to create, click and open in a new tab. Okay, so the same session. Okay, this has created one Linux session, right? So this is, if you see here, the same session has been transferred to a new browser tab. This is the tab in which I opened it, right? So I can close from here and I can simply go here. It is recovered from the previous session that I just closed on this particular window, right? So what is happening is, for a given user, a simple small VM is allocated. For that VM, Google Cloud does not charge you. Okay, whatever you do, whatever Linux command you can do, you fire here, they don't um, charge anything for you for that. Okay, and okay, so that is called as Cloud Shell. This is called as Cloud Shell. What are the some of there are some of the features that in Cloud Shell you get. Okay, so it's like a very small VM. It has it is created with a Debian OS and it has 5 GB of internal space. Okay, if you keep this particular session idle for I think 1 hour, that will be that will be gone. Okay, and then next time when you click on this, another session you will have all your data, your files, whatever you create, some shell script or whatever you create here, that will be retained, but that particular VM will be gone. You will get another VM for free of cost again, and you can fire those shell scripts or any shell commands on that particular VM. So you can create a VM from here also. If I fire gcloud, gcloud is automatically, see if you see here, those gcloud commands will still work here. Config or I can show you the components, right? You don't need to run the gcloud init command.
because this is already initialized with your ID, because you have already logged in the console, and from console you activating the Cloud Shell, right? So you already logged in with your account. You can see your account here, right? And it is also installed with lot of components already. So emulators are already installed. Then extensions, Java extensions, Minikube, kubectl, gsutl, bq, everything will be installed automatically in the this one. You don't need to do installation. If you want to run from your laptop directly, that's where you need Cloud SDK installation. If you are doing it from the Cloud Shell, you don't need to install anything. Just click on this and you will be redirected to the Cloud Shell. Now Cloud Shell will also come up with some more features, like inbuilt editor is also having. So if you don't know um, Linux commands, you can simply click on this particular icon, and in half of the window it will open a Cloud Shell editor. So it's just like any editor. You can say open folder and open this. What it will do is, if you are coming from a development background, maybe you have used Eclipse or VS Code or IntelliJ, right? So it's like the code editor only. So you see here some files, right? So the same file I can see here, ls. So the same file, and the same file I can open here from here also. So this is a readme file. It's like a notepad or any editor you can see, and it has some more features, like if I create a new file and uh, okay, so I'm just giving some sample name dot YAML. So YAML is one of the other, file format, I can say file extension. We'll see this in Kubernetes module. So I'm just giving you an high level understanding. So what happens is, if I start writing Kubernetes, okay, and if I select Kubernetes service, automatically this particular template came up. So this is the beauty of this particular editor, that it understands some Google Cloud related stuff automatically. All I need to do is change the name of the app, change the name of the app name, service, and rest of the things remain same. And I mean, that way I can write the coding, develop the coding faster in this editor, rather than writing here, right? Or writing, opening the file in vi and typing by my own. There are some of the features that editor provides, right? So yeah, these are some of the options. Let's take a 5 minutes break. Let's be back by 9:28, and then I'll show you some basic JSUTL commands, BigQuery commands, and we'll also run that particular GitHub this script. Okay, let's take 5 minutes of break. Okay, meanwhile, there is one question. I'll just take it up. You said VM will be gone after 1 hour. Session of Cloud Shell. So, which means every time I need to create a new VM. If that's so, what happens to the data we had in previous VM? Okay, so don't confuse that with a VM. Okay, the VM that we created, right? That we created. I mean, if you own a VM for your project related stuff or any other stuff, that VM is different than Cloud Shell. Cloud Shell is Cloud Shell is a small VM given by Google Cloud to run the gcloud commands, just to run the gcloud commands, not to write your data processing jobs or anything. Okay, you can't run that because this is very small VM, and this is just to write some gcloud commands to interact, to create some other, like if you want to create a BigQuery table from here, you can do that, but you don't want to write the SQL files and run it here or schedule it here, right? You don't want to do that. So this is just a small VM which is given by the Google Cloud free of cost for firing the gcloud commands, or creating simple shell script. And to answer your question, if that is gone, this data will not be gone. So even if this particular session is gone, let's say I've closed this and I'm reactivating that, it will automatically come. The data will still persist. Okay. So let's be back. I don't want to talk much in the breaks. Okay. So let's continue after the break. Okay, I'm back. Okay. Okay. I hope everyone is back. So I think Snigda's question I just answered before the break. And which programming language do we use in Cloud Shell? So Cloud Shell is a Linux environment. So you will fire Linux commands over there. Okay, so let me go to the Cloud Shell again. So if you see here, this is the sample VM that we had created via console, I mean the UI, right? And if you see here, right, so it also recovered my previous closed session. the command which I was firing, right? So let me close from here. I opened it in the new tab. So if you see here the pod file, the pod.yaml file that I had created, again it started showing up over here. Okay, and now what we will do is I will get my code, the entire code base of my git into my cloud shell. Okay, this is what is my print working directory. Let me print working directory. Is this visible or shall I change some font size? Maybe it is visible better now. Okay, so now let me just clone this. If okay, okay, so I'm just cloning my code base. So I'm getting all the code base into my cloud shell using this git clone command. So if I do ls now, so I have this folder Google Cloud Demos. This is my repository name, right? I got, and if I go inside that, do ls, I have all the folders. Let me go to Cloud Shell Demo, cd Cloud Shell Demo, and I'll see that shell script, right? The script.sh that I have under Cloud Shell Demo, right? And what does this script do is it will fire some list of commands. So gcloud project list. If I can fire this command in my cloud SDK also, right? Similarly, now we will be not doing manually. Rather, we will be running this particular script itself. But in before we run this script, I will walk you through. So this command will show me the projects in all the projects. Okay, it will list the name of the projects. Then this will show me the configurations, whatever are there before. I mean, at this particular point of time. Then we are going to create a new configuration called as dev underscore config, and we'll also set. We have seen this right in this one. We had created in my laptop. I had created this particular configuration called as dev, and it created a empty configuration. Then we have to set the account, project, zone, and region. So that is what I am going to do here using this command gcloud set account, set project, set region, and set zone. And then I'll just change this before I run this, right? So I'll just change the email address and all. So you can also follow the same commands, git clone, and then this command. Just follow my video, and then you can simply do this demo on your gcloud cloud shell also, and then it will activate that particular created dev config, and then we will enable that particular service. You remember we clicked on the enable button. So this will be the programmatic way to enable the same thing. Then you remember we created a VM, sample VM. Similarly, this command will create a sample VM. The name of the VM will be Edureka VM1, and once it is, if it is successful, it will print this particular message: the compute engine created successfully. And then gcloud compute instance list is one another command which will show me the number of instances, since we are expecting one more VM to be created here automatically via this script, right? So I'm expecting at the end, this particular command will show me two instances. One is this one, and another one is the one which we will create using this particular script, right? So if I want to edit this, I can simply go to the editor, and you see a folder created over here, right? So I can go inside this folder, cloud shell and script, click on that, and I need to enter my account email address, right? So this is my account in which I'm going to use right? And then the project ID under which I want to create the VM. So this is my project ID. Okay, let me save this file and minimize that editor. Let me cat this file to print the, just check whether my change is reflected. Okay, seems to be fine to me. Okay, let's run this file. So it is asking me to authorize once. Okay, so now it is started running that, listing the projects. If you see here, the projects are listed. Or let it run and then I'll show you. Okay, so looks like the script is completed. So if you see here, we listed the project using this particular command, projects list, right? So it printed two projects. One is the Cloud SDK CLI project. Another one is the first project, right? So these are the two projects that I have, right? It automatically printed with some information on that project. Then the configurations, right? This is the Cloud Shell configuration default one, right? See, the configurations are local to the to that particular session. Okay, so my Cloud SDK, which is installed in my laptop, these configurations will not be visible to my Cloud Shell. Cloud Shell is directly embedded within my console itself, right? So those configurations are different. Now I am creating a new configuration called as dev config, and I am updating those values, right? I showed you here. So and then I'm printing that again. So I'm saying listing the configurations. So it listed this particular configuration. If you see here, the account is set to this one, project is set to this, zone and region is set to this. We'll see what is region zone in the next session. Okay, then it activated that particular config, and then we enabled that particular API, and then we ran this particular command, gcloud compute instance create, to create a particular VM. Instance is nothing but compute instance is nothing but a VM. Okay, so we ran this and it created that compute engine. And if you see here, it printed that new VM, and this was the old VM that we had created via GUI, the user interface. Now if I refresh this particular page on the console, I should see the another VM got created, and this was created via script. This was created by via the console or the UI. I hope this is clear. I already shared this, right? I shared the entire code base. Nobody will share you the code base of the people, but I've just created this for demo so that you guys have. I don't need to send the scripts every now and then. You just go to this particular link which I have given you on the chat, and just download from there. You can simply download that as a zip also. Okay, if you don't know what is Git and all. But if you follow the Git clone and everything, this will still work in your Cloud Shell also. So that was all about the Cloud Shell. Let's quickly see the gcloud and bq command also. Manually I will fire. So gcloud is sorry, gcloud we have seen. Gsutil I was talking about, sorry. So gsutil is to work with cloud storage. Okay, so there is another service called as cloud storage. Hmm. So in cloud storage, you create a bucket. Bucket is nothing but like a folder, and within that folder you can put the files. Okay, so if you see here, there is no bucket here. This is the bucket page. You don't see any buckets here. So from console I can click on create, and I can create the bucket. Just provide the bucket name. this should be a globally unique name, right? But for today's demo, we are not going to create using the console. We'll be using the gsutil command. So the command is gsutil mb to make the bucket, and gs colon double slash is the uh, it's like a for the address you write http or something like that, right? http or https. Similarly for gs it is gs colon double slash, and then you can put a globally unique name for your bucket. So let me say edureka gcp batch. I'm just using this particular date so that it will probably be unique. Let's check. Okay, so it is creating the bucket. It created the bucket. So let's go here and refresh. So if you see here, this bucket got created. So this bucket is nothing but my root under which I can upload the files. So now if you see here, there are some of the configuration, so some of the configurations, permissions, all these things, some details of this particular bucket level, bucket details. You can click on this upload files, and you can upload your local files, any files from here, right? So in typical case, in your organization level or in your projects or in your companies, you will not be uploading your personal files. You will be uploading your project data or your csv files, or which you want to import in your tables or anything like that, right? Or you will use this particular to store the processed data, something like that. Okay, so similarly, you can now if you see here the script that we had created, let me just copy that script to this particular bucket. So what is the command for that? The command is very simple: gsutil cp, and just copy this. What is the file you want to copy? And then paste, then again the next parameter is where you want to copy. So I want to copy in this particular bucket, so just completed the operation, and let me refresh this. Inside the bucket I should see a file. Okay, so I have the file which is not public right now. Okay, we can make it public also, so that uh, it is available to everyone. You can do that also, but in normal enterprise level, you will not be making your files public. Okay, you can delete the file. So for that, simple command is gsutil rm and the file. So the file is in this, and the file name is script.sh. So let me remove that. Okay, so it removed the file. Let me refresh this. The file is gone. Okay, similarly, I can also fire some of the commands like disk usage, and I can give the bucket name. I need to give the particular file, right? So let me copy the file again, and let's try. Okay, so since there was nothing earlier, this command did not give us any results, but since now we copied the file again back using the cp command, now it will show me the size of that particular file. Okay, so disk usage is nothing but it will give you -h is a human readable, so it will tell me in the kb or gb or mbs. Okay, um if I want to remove the bucket or delete the bucket itself, I can provide this command gsutil rb and the bucket. It's not empty, so it's not an I got an exception. So let's remove the file first. I removed the file now, and let's try to delete the bucket. Now it deleted the bucket also. So let's check the buckets level. I should not be seeing any buckets anymore, right? So nothing is there. Okay, so this is all about the gsutil commands. And quickly let me tell you about the BigQuery. These are some popular services. That's why I'm just uh, giving you some idea about the commands. If you see here, we have only this much, right? So let's try to create one more data set. So for that, we use BQ command. For BigQuery, we use BQ command. BigQuery is a data warehouse. Okay, so it's like you can create databases and tables and all those things. Tables, views, stored procedures, all those things you can create here. So BQ MK is the command, and -d is to create the data set, because the BQMK is for tables also. You can create tables with BQMK, and you can create database with BQMK. Now going forward, I will not be using database as a nomenclature. I'll be using data set, because in BigQuery, database is also called as data set. So let me say uh, August 27 data set. Okay, let's see. Okay, so data set is created. Let's refresh it here. I think we have to refresh the page. Then you can BQLS is another command to list the data set. So if you see here, I see two data sets in my project, right? Same thing will be shown on this project level. I mean, from the console also. Now, if you see here, this particular data set is created. There is no table. And during the BigQuery session, we will create multiple tables and everything. So just wanted to tell you how we write the BQ commands. Okay, so any questions until here? We'll go to the third one. Otherwise, yeah, so I think there are some couple of questions. The third one is the API way. I'll give you a quick demo on that as well, but we'll not be developing any Python code or Java code. We'll be using the Google's way of Google's, they have a trial page on which we can use this API. So we'll be using that. Okay, so let me take up the questions until here. Resource is under configurations and configurations is under project. Is it like that? No, Snigdha, it's not like that. Configuration is it's like, okay, let me simply explain you. This is your project, okay, GCP, in which you are creating VMs or buckets or whatever you are creating, right? Resources basically you are creating. Now you need an account, right? So you logged in console and you are using that. So basically, whenever you are going to the console, here you are setting the account, here you are setting the project ID, right? And then you are creating these resources. So I mean the GCP cloud, I mean the Google Cloud knows that you are using this account and this project under which I want to create when you are using a GUI. So that time these particular things are being taken as your configurations, using which, if you, let's say you have this account and this account does not have permission to create a VM, then that's where Google Cloud will not allow you to create a VM using this particular account, right? So this will come in IAM in the next session, or maybe we'll start today. Okay, so what I'm talking about is the configuration. So configuration is nothing but the account, the project ID, the region, right? Some of the stuff. This configuration is known needs to be known before it creates a resource, right? To either check the permissions or the projects under which this resource needs to be created, because the billing happens at the project level, correct? So this configuration is nothing but what you see here on your console when it comes to GUI. This is your one of the part of your configuration. This is one of the part of your configuration. Similarly, when it comes to the coding part, maybe the shell script, how the shell script will communicate with this, right? So console or the GCP needs to know which account you want to use. So you use an account, you use a project, and you create a configuration. That configuration, let's call it as config1, and then you set it. So set this configuration, and then you execute this particular command, gcloud command. So that particular gcloud command will use this particular configuration, and then it will create this particular VM, right? I hope that is clear. So don't create a hierarchy between the configuration. Okay, the resource is not under configuration. Resource is created using the configuration. So configuration consists of account details, your project details, your region details, your zone details, and the resource will be created according to your configuration. Okay. Configurations is just what I can say. It's just configuration with which you can create the resources. It has nothing to do with the project and organization structure. Okay, what is dev configuration? So I'm not sure. I did not get my point. So you can create multiple configurations. Okay, multiple configurations. Okay, let me explain it again. Config 2, config 3, you can always switch between this. The way you switch from your console, right? The way you switch between the console, right? If I switch between the project, how can I switch between the project? I can switch between the project using this. If I switch to this particular project, I don't see that dataset anymore, which I had just created using the Cloud Shell. Will I be able to see that dataset here? No, right? Because that was created under another project. So I am switching between the projects. Similarly, this is the way, programmatic way, you can switch between the configurations. You can have configuration set. So this is account 2, project 2, this is account 1, project 1, this can be account 1 and project 2, right? So I can switch between config 1, config 3, and the dev config that you're asking, Ankush, that is nothing but a configuration name that I have given. I can give any name, and I can use that name for that configuration. Just like uh, when you install any software, right? Or in your Windows machine, right? When you log into your laptop, where is my mouse? One second. Something wrong with my mouse. So when you log in with your right, so if you see here Harshal Lenovo, that is my configuration. This will have certain desktop background, some color, some this setup, right? All these softwares. If I log in with another ID, I may not see, but it's the same laptop, right? So I will not be able to see the same configurations, right? So the configurations is nothing but a config that you are creating, and you can basically switch between the accounts. Simple as that. If we make the bucket public, then all the files will be public automatically, or we can individual permissions. Yeah, if you make it public, it will be accessible by others also. If I make my bucket public or my object, I mean the file, if within that bucket public, you guys will be able to download that, see that, right? We'll see that in the storage session. Is this the way the data is ingested into Google Cloud? Um, Not really. This is just the sample. I'm at very high level. I'm telling you how you use the cloud storage. This is not the way you will upload the files manually, but in your dev environment, you may use that, to create a bucket and upload your CSV files, log files, or whatever. But in if you see here, um, storage options, you see data transfer. So you can create transfer jobs and different types of jobs, and then you can link your GCP with on-premise. You can bring those. There are different ways. It's not a single way, there are a lot of use cases based on which you can ingest the data into Google Cloud, depending upon what is your source. If it is a Hadoop source, then you have Hadoop Dataproc clusters. If your data is in files, you can use cloud storage, right? So there are different use cases, different solutions to the data ingestion. Harshal, what is the shortcut to copy the path command in the Cloud Shell? Copy the path. Oh, you don't. It's Control V and Control C and Control V. If you select double click on this, it will select that, or if you just select this, it will automatically copy. Okay, if you see here, this icon is coming, so it is already copied. Now you just need to paste it. Control V, that will paste it. Okay. Next question. Google Cloud Storage can be used to store the files like Windows folder or storing tabular data. We need BigQuery. Yes, for storing tabular data, you need BigQuery. Not just BigQuery. Again, there are multiple solutions. Is there a standard understanding correct? Partially, Shrey, you are correct. For files, you can use cloud storage, but there are other options also. Okay, we will just hold on that question for storage module. Can we increase timeout for the Cloud Shell? No, no, you cannot. But there is no harm. You won't lose the files. Okay. So if I do ls, if I go to my working directory, I do this, right? Oh, sorry. What is this? Okay. So if I do ls, I have this folder, I have this file, I have this file, right? Even if tomorrow I'll check, I'll still have these files. Don't worry. So because Google is not charging you for that, they don't want to, keep that Cloud Shell up and running if you're not using it. By creating bucket and upload the files. Okay, Shrey has a next question. ETL tool like Talend can be used to store the data in GCP raw layer from GCS buckets. I'm not sure on the ETL tools Talend, but if you are asking that, can Talend store the data into GCP? Yes, you can use any tool to uh, process any external tools also to process your data, and just use GCS or Google Cloud to store your data. Just for the storage, you are using Google Cloud and you want to do processing externally, you can do that, if that was your question. Aniruddha, in my organization, my work is to add the files to GCP and get the data from GCP. So this is the standard process, upload the files. Yes, if manually, if you are talking manually, then yes, you can upload the files in your bucket manually and download the files, delete the files. Yes, you can do that manually, but in organization level, we don't do that way. We basically write some shell scripts or some Java codes, Python codes, whatever, and then maybe you pull it from your source systems, and then you create those files into your buckets. I mean, that's what we generally do at the company or the enterprise level. But if you want to create a test data, mock data, or you have to upload some files on a regular basis, you have some maybe some reports that you want to keep it in some cloud storage bucket, then yes, manually also you can do. Aniruddha, to answer your question. So I have to create a flow for that. If you are doing it programmatically, then you will have to create a bucket once. Okay, only once, right? And then you need to write some code in that using some gsutil cp commands, and then it will copy those files from that source to your bucket. So, any more questions? Thanks, I really appreciate. Thank you. Okay, so let's jump on to the last one, API Explorer. I think we'll have to stop after that. Um, so I'll take 5 to 10 more minutes uh, on the API Explorer, and then okay, then we'll conclude for the today's. So API Explorer, I'll not be writing. Okay, so generally for API Explorer is nothing but okay. So if you are having a background of REST APIs or cloud libraries or something like that, then it will be easy for you to understand. But the third way to create GCP resources. So these are the resources we are creating, right? So again, you need to know the account, some configurations, right? You need to give the project. Then only you will be able to create these resources, right? So these resources we have created using some commands and using some, from the console, from the UI itself. Now we are going to use third way, that is nothing but API. API is nothing but, let's say you have a Python code, and using that Python code, you want to use a API. You are not going to write Linux command, but you are going to use the API to pass on some parameters, maybe a VM name, persistent disk size, or what OS you want. Okay, what is the variant or the version of that particular OS that you want, right? And based on that, you will execute that code, and that will create that particular VM. That's another way. Okay, that is called as API or cloud libraries also, you can say, right? So now we are not going to write the Python code and execute that. What I'm going to do is, there is a way to do that. Okay, so if you go to hamburger menu, you see API and services. You can search it from here also, and then go to enabled APIs. So I told you yesterday about the skill boost, right? Cloud skill boost, which I said it is little expensive, but uh, we can use this without subscription also. So what I'm going to use is, I'm going to do the demo in my free tier account, but I am going to get help from the this particular documentation of the skill boost. Okay, so this link I'm just posting in the chat. Just make a note of this particular link, and I'm opening that link. This is the skill boost particular API Explorer for compute engine. So this will also create a compute engine VM, another third VM that we will create today, and we will be using this particular demo. So if you follow my screen, let's create a request. So for that, first of all, we'll go to this API enabled API, and we'll go to compute engine API, because we are going to use compute. We are going to create a compute engine, right? So if you see here, there is an option try in API Explorer. So you can go and click this. This will open up. Okay, this will open up a documentation. And the same documentation we can see here on the right side, REST API calls, right? On the left side also you see some options, right? So what are we going to create? We are going to create compute instance or compute engine. So that is nothing but instances. So go to instances, and what are we going to do? We are going to create. So for create, the API name is insert. So just click on insert. Okay, so this will give us the documentation right away itself here, and then it will tell you that what are the parameters that you need to pass. And this is again a sample. Okay, sample JSON body, it will look like this, and at the end you just have to execute this particular sample. So you do we for us we our request sample will not be this big. Okay, I'll be creating on this particular. If you see here, try this. So what I need to give is the project ID. Okay, so let me take the project ID from here. I'm just copying this, copy, go to this one and paste it here. Then zone. Okay, so what you can do is you can simply go to this skill boost. We don't need Cloud Shell now. So let me close that. So if you see here, the cloud link, the cloud boost link. One second, did I lose your questions? Okay, I think I am able to see. So just go to this one, or from here also, I think this will land up on that. Otherwise, I already navigated you. So the project ID, just go to your project and just copy this particular ID. This is the project ID. Put it in this one, and then under zone, just copy the values from this one, this particular documentation. Let's copy that. Then then the request body, right? So we need to give a request ID. These are not really required. Then go to request body. So you need to give a machine type. So machine type, it is telling us to provide this. Just copy and paste it. Okay, then name. Name, I will give Edureka API VM, just any name is fine. And then in network interface, leave it empty. So just click on this plus and mm, network interfaces. Select this and keep it empty. Okay, this is empty, fine. Then disk, select disks. Next option here, disk. Disk is the persistent disk. You need some disk need to be attached to your VM. So we'll go to disk. Type is persistent. So let's click item and see type. Type should be persistent, and then project. What is this? Initialize parameters, image name. Initialize parameters. Let's see, where is it? Initialize params, and here, what was that? Source, right? So we need to give the source image. This is where we are telling, create a Debian Linux box. This is another variant of one of the variant of Linux with which we are going to create our VM. Then boot to true. Where is that boot option? Is it under this? No, I think here. Boot to true. Okay, so then it should look like this. So just you can just compare, and if it is okay, then it should look like this, it is saying. And then just select this and execute it. Okay, so this will ask me for account with which I am going to execute, because it did not ask me the account here, right? It just asked me the project ID. So this is just like, just just understand this way, that it is asking me for the configuration. On the fly it will create a configuration with my account ID, and I'm just allowing with my ID and say allow. So this will try to execute and create a VM using the API method. It created because we got a 200 response. 200 is okay, I mean success. So now if you see here, we have created this particular details of this particular VM, and using this particular user on that particular project. Okay, and now this, I wanted to show you one more thing was, okay, let's go to this and go to our VMs, compute engine VM instances. we should see the third VM which we have created via API, right? You see here, we have created a third VM using API methods. Is there any questions? Is there any question on API? So programmatically, you will be using this. If you want to take a look at actual programs, how does that happen? I also have a link. So I just posted a link um, that is again a Google documentation sample code. You can see it on my screen, and this way, see, you can create a Python code, you can create a Java code, and that way this will see if you also here also they are in a way they are creating that this particular uh, resource parameters and then executing that via a programmatic way. Okay, so it's basically going to use the API of compute engine to create the particular compute engine. Okay, so any questions? Guys, I think there is some issue with the question box. Just post any questions if you have posted in last 5 minutes or something. Just repost it again to cover all the options in per session. Are you going to cover all the options as per session? Yes, I mean, if you're talking about different services, yes, I'm going to cover all the services in different sessions. Will we get a chance to for practical sessions during the class? No, sorry, I'm there are a lot of things to cover. I want you guys to focus attention, focus your, focus on what I'm teaching you rather than doing it on because I'm teaching more than 50 candidates at the same time. Everyone will of you might face different issues if you switch to my screen and your screen during the class. Okay, so please understand that you need to practice. If you have any issues, just follow the recordings, and if you still have any issues you can ask me questions. I'm gonna that was to answer your question, but it is for everyone. If someone does not know Linux, can we still do the activities via GUI? Yes, you can do. Is it mandatory to know Linux? No, 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 no. You can do from GUI also. Everything can be done via GUI also. If someone doesn't, yeah, correct. I already answered. Give practical work in homework. So this is the same work you can do on your uh, free tier account. Just understand that because I'm just teaching you doesn't mean that I am only creating this VM. You need to practice all these things again with me. And from tomorrow or maybe next, every now and then, I'll be giving you homework also, but just understand this as a practical itself. You can try the same practicals on, and that should be your homework. But I'll give you some other homeworks also, which I'll not cover. So I'll give you such homeworks in the subsequent. This is again introduction and just playing around here and there with different resources, right? We have not started with actual resources dedicatedly, right? So, uh, Shabby, that was for your question. Any specific reason for Cloud Shell even when we have console, which is very easy to operate? So Shiva, if you're coming from a managerial background or a high level background or some business background, right? So it makes sense for you to use the console, right? Which you feel very easy to operate. But what if I tell you create 50 similar VMs? How we will solve that problem? If I tell you I need 10 or 15 same VMs in my project, what will you do? Will you not have to go to this particular project, go to this one, create an instance, again select all those options again and again, right? So that's where these kind of commands comes very handy. Now if I go to this particular one, I just change the name of the VM, VM2, and I just execute it again, right? Execute it again. Simply refresh this. I might have got the another VM created. See? It's so easy. So it's your perspective. Basically, for the developers, it is very easy to write a single uh, command and just change some of the parameters, and the identical VM will be created for you. Instead of you going to UI and selecting that particular options again and again for 10 different 15 VMs that you want to create, right? So automation is the easily done. That is the correct. Yes. For automation, you can use the gcloud commands. There are other automation techniques also, like Terraform, deployment managers, but you can write shell scripts using gcloud. You can write Python codes using cloud libraries. You can write Java code, C++. There are tons of different languages that you can use to do this particular same stuff. So yeah, thanks, Siva. Any other question, guys? So I think let's just check the summary, how much we have covered. Would you cover airflow as well in these sessions? Shrey, airflow is not a scope, but I will give you the idea about the composer. Airflow is a open source project which is adopted by Google and created another tool called as Composer. So Composer is a managed airflow, I would say. So we have completed until this particular thing. I wanted to start with IAM, but no issues. I have attached the IAM PDF in our LMS. Just go through that before you come for the next lecture. And in IAM, we'll be trying to cover that in 2 hours. Actually, I want to. I mean, unfortunately, I would say, but I'll have to merge multiple different sessions into together, right? So next one we will have IAM, and I will also try to start with compute engine. The module number 3 as per Edureka is virtual networks or networking, but um, my perspective, if you don't understand the basics first, you won't understand the networking. So in networking demos, we'll be creating VMs and everything, right? Just the way we have created today. So that's where you need to understand what is VM, what is compute engine, right? Internally, we just created sample VMs. We have not explored the other options under the VM, right? So we will cover IAM also, because IAM is a very basic. You need to understand who has what permissions, right? So unless we understand that, networking and everything will be very much bounces to you. It will be very difficult to understand, grab that. So I hope today's session was helpful. If you have any questions, I'm around for 2 to 3 minutes. Otherwise, feel free to drop off. Just I would request you to feel the feedback. If you have anything else to share, I'm not doing well, then please pass on the comments also. I had seen one comment yesterday about uh, something negative about my feedback, but just I'm not sure who. Of course, it is anonymous, but I'm just requesting you to be with me because this was my first session with you. In the first 1 or 2 sessions, it might take some time to match up our chemistry. So just be with me, and I'll try to cover all the things that you guys are looking for. So with that being said, just feel the feedback and see you next week with IAM. So just go through the IAM PDF that I have attached and practice all the things that we have done today. Once you have time, anytime until next week. And always don't forget, always delete the instances or delete the resources that you create. Okay, I'm going to delete it right away. Do not forget to delete these instances. Okay, otherwise it will start charging and you will end up with that $300 credit very soon. Okay, so let me take up the questions now. To practice the topics covered, where can we find the Excel? you can follow the recordings, right? You go to the LMS and go to the recordings and just follow uh, the topics that or the exercises that we have done. You can also check the assignments under the LMS, which is given by Edureka, and try to finish that as well. Is there any external website other than Edureka that we can find sample exercises? That I cannot give you, unfortunately, because I mean, I don't own that, right? So if there is any mistake in that, you make any mistakes to your environment, I will not be responsible. So I cannot give you any external websites. Sorry about that, Edureka guest. Dinana, thanks. Great session today. Very helpful. Thank you for the kind words. Yes. Any other questions, guys? Any other questions? I don't see any new questions. So guys, please practice, then only you will get some questions, okay? How to delete? Just click here and explore the options, okay? If you don't find it obviously, then just click here and then just check more options. Yeah, you see delete option over here. Just select all the VMs and delete. Thank you, Swati. Thanks, Aniruddha. Okay, then I think no more questions are coming up. So let's conclude for the day and see you next week, guys. Okay. Thank you, Sachin. Thank you, everyone. I'll stop my screen. Okay, I have a question. I see a question. I do recognize last question. By when would today's recording will be uploaded? So I told you yesterday, right? Uh, at least after 10, maybe you can check after 8 or 10 hours, it will be uploaded. Sure, yeah. You can check it today itself. In the evening, maybe you can check. If you're from the IST time zone. Yeah, have a great day, Anuruddha. Have a great day, Nahid, Shrey. Thank you. Okay. Thanks, Samsher. See you guys. See you in the next week then. Bye.